Hello. Welcome to my podcast. This is still so weird to say, and I'm not gonna try to speak like a podcaster to you because that's not like my intention for this space, this long form offering. However, I do want to introduce myself. Um, I'm Sam. Hence, the name of this podcast is called Sister Sam. And it's a play on something like a title, a name, a label, an identity that I once had growing up in the Christian church, being born into a specific kind of Christian church, which I'll talk a lot about in this podcast. So stay tuned. But it's a reclamation of that identity as somebody who is here to have sisterly conversations with people from all walks of life, all types of faith, belief, imagination, and understanding of this human existence, life in the world. I'm sighing a lot because I'm very grateful and I'm very humbled to be able to have the time, the space, the capacity, the resources to offer such a wonderful thing. I don't take any platform that I have to share my knowledge, my life experiences lightly, and I hope that I can speak on my truths, my experiences, share others' truths and experiences in a way that's helpful, hopeful, inspiring, and supportive to your day. I know that podcasts are usually things that we listen to while we're driving long ways or emptying the dishwasher, or maybe you're cooking for your family. So I hope that I can be a voice or a face you see. I've also filmed this for YouTube. So if you want to watch me there, you also can. I'm wearing a pink and purple tie-dye dress that my coworkers from my part-time job that I used to work, or that I still kind of work. It's cute, and you'll get to see my inner sanctum, my woman office cave where I connect to my guides, I pull cards, I have a couple altars, I play my koshi chimes. So nice. You can watch me on YouTube, you can follow me on Instagram, you can do all the things if it feels exciting to you. But I just want to welcome you to this space and I hope you stick around. I would like to just speak on some assumptions that I have before I speak because I felt inspired to do that from somebody who I took a workshop from. And I think it's important that we don't make assumptions if we can. However, we're human and we do. And so, off the top of my head, this is just me going for it. I don't have any notes. I'm just speaking to you from the heart on this day where the sun's in Pisces and the moon's in Cancer. Just going with the flow. Some assumptions that I have when I interact with people and I have conversations and I walk through the world is that everyone is aware of their beliefs. And maybe I don't even want to make that assumption anymore now that I'm thinking about it. So maybe we'll come back to assumptions. What an intro. I don't even know what assumptions I have, but that's kind of the style of the way that I have conversations. It's very explorative. I try not to pretend that I have all the answers. Sometimes I can get that way because I feel like I know a lot about the nature of reality and the laws of nature. And yeah, I do a lot of study and research on those topics. And so you're going to get a lot from me on things like that. A lot of like advice, a lot of things to study, a lot of things to look into or consider for you to study on your own. I'm not going to tell you this is what it is and this is what it is for you. But anytime that I share or speak on something, it is an invitation for you to explore and experiment and be curious for yourself. Take whatever I say with a grain of salt. Whatever resonates, resonates. Whatever doesn't, you can leave. You can drop it on the floor, let it compost into the earth. Everyone's journey, everyone's place and time is sacred and important for them. And so if there's anything that I say that triggers you, I want to take responsibility for that and say that I apologize for the harm I may cause. And at the same time, it is not mine to heal. And I'll talk more about that in the future. However, I do know that by design, I am a walking trigger for some people. I'm going to be talking about my experiences growing up in the Christian church, specifically in the church that I was born in. I will be deconstructing a lot of what I learned growing up in that environment with those philosophies. And so, if that is too hard for you to listen to, I hope that you come back and listen when you feel ready, when you're open. Um, And if you are so curious about what I have to say, I hope that you stay and I hope that you listen with an open heart, an open mind, and in your own groundedness and responsibility for what your experience is. I'm not going to leave you alone on that. I will offer tools in general just cuz that's me. That's me as your sister. Me as your sister, as your earthly sisterly kin, I will offer things to you that may be helpful for you to work with for yourself, like I said earlier. Um, but ultimately, it's up to you for you to work through them, to understand thyself, um, and to come back and have more conversations because I think that's really how like interdependence and community and being in balanced relationship is really all about. It's, interacting and being with each other, having the awareness of what isn't resonating, what doesn't sit right with me, what's triggering me, what do I love about this dynamic, going to the self, coming home to the self and sitting with all of it as best as we can because we do live in a world that distracts us and makes it hard for us to really be with ourselves moment to moment. But that's one of my assumptions with this is that you'll take what I say, what I would like to give to you in the form of words and thought and feeling, and my assumption is that you'll go off on your own and sit with them and work through it. Do your own healing, run your own energy, calling all of it back to yourself so that we can continue to be in this relationship and have these conversations. I think it's so important that when we create community, when we make connections, when we build relationships, we must understand that it's not going to be easy all the time, that conflict does happen. And we do get triggered by the people we love. I think especially by the people that we love the most and are most intimate with because we are so vulnerable. But it's that work of coming home to yourself after the day is done and saying, I got me. And not only I got me, but I got me because I have resources available to me. I have people in my life who give me that space and who help me have tools for me to share words, wisdom, support, care, whatever it is that allows me to sit with myself, and then also having the responsibility of doing that for yourself as well. So that's my little older sister advice for you when listening to this podcast. I kind of strayed away a little bit, but we'll come back. And so when you are listening to this podcast, I hope that you feel inspired. I hope that you feel a connection and that you stick around to see what happens, because my style is very experimental. I like structure and I like to build. I like to find systems that work for me, and I try my best to be consistent. But I'm also very watery, very airy. And so I tend to be very in the moment with things. So you can expect a podcast from me, hopefully. My goal is to send one out every week. But we're human and we make mistakes, but I will do my best to show up for you every week. And so, with that, I feel complete. I feel like I've given you a good intro to who I am, what this is about. And if you've been following me on the internet or you know me in real life for a little while, you kind of know my story, but you'll really get to hear me speak on it in a way that it's different from writing. I've written my story, a short abbreviated version, but really getting to with speak from my own voice, from my own truth, without another person in the room with me, really allows a person, especially me, to be in all of the feelings that I'm feeling as I'm telling my story. So you'll get my story of how I was expelled from this church that I was raised in. You'll get my story of how I healed myself. You'll hear about my journey through motherhood, and you'll get to hear things happening with me in my own inner world in real time, because that's just how it goes. And then I'll also bring in people to have conversations with, because I think that's also important. I really want to talk about people's experiences growing up in the Christian church, and other faiths as well, and how religion, or like dogmatic spirituality, has really led to a detriment in our modern culture. And I could keep talking forever, but I think I'm going to end it there and leave you wanting more for the next episode. So if you like what you hear so far, you can go ahead and follow this podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you may find your podcasts. You can follow me on Instagram at sam.stelluna. That's STELLUNA. You can also follow my business page. I guess they're both business page accounts, but this is an account where I sell apothecary goods, herbal concoctions, flower essences, vintage clothing, and ritual goods, and graphics, posters. You can follow that account at Stelluna Goods, all one word, STELLUNAGOODS. And what else? You can subscribe to this YouTube podcast if you want. I also have a website. You can find the link to that, where I have all my workshops, one-on-one offerings, my weekly journaling circle that I hold, as well as like whatever other happenings happening. Yeah, thank you so much for being here and being curious about what I have to say. I really appreciate everybody who takes the time to listen to each other and me. Thank you for listening to me. I think I have some good things to say. I think I have a good word to share with the world, and I'm excited to have this platform and have this space to speak on that which is most important to me. I believe moment by moment, and you're going to be on the ride, on the journey, on the exploration experiment with me. Anyway, that's all I have, I think. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, listening, if you're listening, stay tuned for a new episode every week. Bye.